Last week had Visalia, City of Visalia's redevelopment meeting. It was the same thing. There was absolutely no one there. So let's hope this goes just as well. Well, welcome. We will call this maybe the last meeting of the Tulare County Redevelopment Successor Agency Oversight Board meeting to order. Again, if there anyone here in the public, the two of you standing, three beyond the dais there wishing to speak during public comment period, you may do so. Seeing no one, will move to item number 2, which is the minutes from September 19th. Are there any questions? Changes? Seeing none, entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
And a second?
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimous. Item number 3 is approval to recognize, I'll call it the ROPS for the period July through December of 2015. Who is going to take this one?
Sophia will.
We have provided you guys with the ROPS period for July 1st, 2015 through December 31st, 2015. And we are estimating expending $300,295. And our successor agency is in a unique position because we have available cash balance. And we've been advised by the Department of Finance to continue using our cash balance until our cash balance is fully depleted. And once our cash balance is zero, then we can start requesting RPTTF funding. So when you go to the second page of the ROPS detail page, you will see that I am pulling all of the dollar amounts that we are requesting from the reserve balance column. And that totals the $295,000. Really, all we have as of right now is the remaining long-term debt, which is the 2 bonds and the 2 loans out for the Goshen area. There are some minor charges on there listed because we still do have the Pixley property. So I just put $100 in cushion for weed abatement and anything that would happen in relation to that property. And then obviously we estimated the amount of time that Successor Agency staff would be working on these projects. If you refer to the next page, which is the report of cash balances, the beginning available cash balance as of July 1st, 2014 was $1.6 million roughly. So that item is how much we actually have cash available, and that's what we're drawing down from. The form also shows you in the 274,609 in row 3 and the 20,364 are actual expenses from the last ROPS period. And the row 4, the 166,946 is the money I have in the trustee accounts related to the bonds. Obviously, we have to report that, and that is included in our cash balance. So at the end of this period, we're estimating $1.3 million through $45. And at the end of this ROPS period that we approve, we're estimating $87,000 available. We believe that in the next 3 years, we'll fully depleted the reserve balance that we have as a successor agency, and then at that point, we would be requesting for our PTTF funding. The next page would be the prior period adjustment page, and that's where we actually list the 2 expenditures that occurred. We show what we were authorized by the Department of Finance and the dollars that we actually expended, and then that populates on the cash balance page. So this is been on the online submittal for the Department of Finance. I fill out the form, I submit it, I get what we call a validation, the approval from the Department of Finance, and then once our board approves it, then I send that resolution saying it's approved to board, and then the GOF will accept it and let us know if they agree with the obligations that we've requested. It's the same process as we've been doing for, I think, the last 2 ROPS now. Does anybody have any questions in regards to this ROPS period?
Any questions? One quick question, the 22,000 for employee cost, our admin costs, it seems awful low. Is that just because we're winding down and there's very few things to deal with?
That is correct. I actually estimated 2,000 more than what occurred in this past ROPS period. So the estimation was based more on the actuals that we've actually had. I don't spend as much time on it because we've dwindled down and closed a lot of our projects out. Really, it's just the debt service and when I have to prepare this ROPS or if the Department of Finance asks us a question.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve the ROPS for July through December 2015.
So moved.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimous. Thank you. Next item up, item number 4, status report on the sale of property in the community of Pixley.
Well, your board approved the sale of the property in accordance with the long-range property management plan that was also approved by the Department of Finance. But when we submitted the information to the Department of Finance, they indicated that we needed to have the sales agreement and backup documentation to them before they would even consider it. So we engaged the property management services to get an appraisal, which we hope to have middle of March, cost of about $500 for that appraisal.
It's not a full-blown, was the MAIs that cost us like $4,000 or $5,000 for the appraisal? This is just a simple appraisal?
Simple appraisal for $500. So they had solicited and received 3 bids. That was the low one and was satisfactory for what we were looking for. One of them was as much as $2,500, and we thought that's ridiculous for this piece of property. But we knew that we needed to have some documentation to provide to the state, particularly since we had the dollar amount from the assessor's office, which indicated $85,000 back in 2011, and they were going to want something more that would justify the price that we felt we were going to actually receive on the property. We didn't feel that we were going to get anywhere near $85,000 on the property.
Wasn't it like $15,000 or so?
Something small. And of course, the redevelopment agency had picked up that piece of property on a tax sale for very cheap. Like I'm going to say like $4,000.
It was less than $5,000 they purchased it for.
Once we get that appraisal, then we'll need to take it to the successor agency as well for approval. Then we'll submit that to the Department of Finance with all the documentation. They say that the turnaround will be quick. They say 5 days. We'll find out. So we're hoping that we can get that done for the remainder of this fiscal year. And with that, then you would see that item removed from off the ROPS. It's only $100, but if we can get down to just the basic long-term obligations, then it puts us in a good position.
Okay, so no action required. This is just an update. Any questions? I think we've actually spent more money finding out what that property is worth and talking about it than it's actually worth over the last few years.
I agree.
Yeah,
Okay, we'll now move on to item 5 then, a report on Department of Finance proposed legislation.
I believe I sent to each of you, there was a copy of a webinar presentation, and there was also an additional bulletin that came out from a law firm with regards to the action. But in the presentation, the Department of Finance indicated that recognizing that they've micromanaged the dissolution process, to say it, but now that, as I said in the presentation, 99% of the successor agencies have done the true-up and the due diligence reviews. 85% have finding of completion, and 50% have an approved property disposition plan. Tulare County has done all of those. And obviously, our situation is much simpler than other redevelopment agencies. But now that the bulk of the work has been done and they're satisfied with that, now they're saying that they want to reduce the amount of oversight. And so they're proposing legislation to that effect. One of the things that your board had asked about is there a possibility of an annual ROPS? That is one of the things that they're proposing. So I think there are some things there that we would be in favor of. Another, and this annual ROPS process would begin in 2016. There's also what they refer to as a last and final ROPS, that if you're down to just the basic long-term obligations, then you can adopt a last and final ROPS that then requires no further action, no annual ROPS. Now that that's done, you just use that as the template from then on until the obligations are paid off. And I think that we're going to be in that situation. There were some things in there that they talked about, litigation expenses associated with challenging the dissolution statutes had to be paid from the administrative budget and not as a standalone enforceable obligation. So they're trying to curtail or limit the amount of funding that agencies would have available to them to, or using their own money, I guess, to pursue lawsuits. So, again, they're wanting to back away. The annual ROPS would begin on February 1st of 2016 and would start for the 16-17 fiscal year. And there is an opportunity on October 1st if you needed to do a revision to that annual ROPS. So there is where you could have a second meeting and sort of a replacement of the process currently. I didn't know if there was any questions with regards to handout. But the other comment is
the original plan was to have, dissolve all of the city oversight boards, all be combined into one countywide, and so that's not changing. It's just what would change would be the technicals. So you'd be able to do one ROPS and be done.
Right. Also, the auditor's office, the county auditor, would become the staff to that one oversight board. So they would take over the duties that currently we're performing. The makeup of the countywide oversight board is there's one member that's appointed by the county board of supervisors, one that's appointed by the city selection committee, one that's appointed by the independent special district selection committee, one that's appointed by the county superintendent of education, one that's appointed by the chancellor of the California community colleges, one member of the public that's appointed by the board of supervisors, and one appointed by the recognized employee organization representing the largest number of successor agency employees in the county. And I put a little question mark to myself and said, if in terms of the county organization, that might be perhaps SEIU. They're probably the largest employee representation. So that would be the makeup of that oversight board.
Any other questions?
Can I also make a couple comments? I think that new committee that's going to occur in July of 2016, everyone should start thinking about, because even though it's, 13 months away, 14 months away, for government work, that's really not that long of time. I hate to say it that way. It really, you need to probably start planning besides the auditor possibly doing it, because again, this is just a bill. It's going to be going to I believe the Assembly Subcommittee March 3rd and the Senate Subcommittee April 9th. So everything what Roger was telling you could change. And so we really don't know yet what's going to happen. But the fact that there's going to be consolidation of oversight is going to happen, and should start thinking about it, because Tulare County's situation could be a lot different than some of the other
Excuse me.
oversight committees and successor agencies are dealing with. Kind of all I have.
Okay,
That's all I have.
thank you. Our next item, item number 6, discussion for future items to be placed on this agenda. What do you anticipate that this group would meet one more time?
Well, possibly one more time if it were to be the last and final in August. Certainly, there's the sale of the property. I don't know that there's any reason that, because you've already approved that, it's just going through the other processes. So if there is not the last and final, then there again would be the meeting in October for the second phase of the ROPS, and a meeting in next February for that annual ROPS. So
They have done that in the past. I would think that that would be the same process that they've been institutionalizing with us, is that
very
they're
possible.
gonna have to make us reapprove it. Just throwing that out there, that is a possibility.
Okay, Michelle, you'll let us know.
We'll try to keep it to a minimum.
Okay, does anyone have a request of anything that would be on that agenda if that meeting happens? Okay, seeing none, we will adjourn. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This went just as quickly as the city of Visayas did.